They're chanting Purdy, by the way.
Ever since last season and coming into this one, I've asked myself this question. Why am I a fan of Brock Purdy? The easiest explanation, of course, would be that since I'm a 49er fan, I would want to support the quarterback as much as I could, and that would be it, except for the fact that I was a Purdy fan first. I've mentioned before in other videos and even a short that I made that I was not a football fan growing up, but that I grew up around 49er memorabilia. It wasn't until I picked up Purdy as a backup in fantasy football that I took notice, and then I basically embraced my destiny of being a 49er fan and never looked back. I'm actually recording this audio wearing my new number 13 Rivalries jersey. So as I ask myself this question, I think about the things that other people have said and continue to say about him. He doesn't have the greatest arm strength. He doesn't. But what exactly does that mean? Is it how far he can throw the ball or how fast? Is Purdy ever going to laser a pass through 3 defenders to hit his receiver in a window the size of a bread box? No. I'd argue that there are only a few quarterbacks that can actually do that. But will Purdy anticipate where his receiver is going to be and put the ball up and over 4 defenders to hit his receiver in stride for the touchdown? Yes, he's already done it. Is Purdy going to launch the ball 70 yards down the field and hope to hit his receiver or draw a defensive penalty? No, of course not. But is Purdy going to launch the ball 40 yards down the field to his 4th read in the progression, hitting him in stride for an easy touchdown? Yes, he's already done it. One of my other favorite quarterbacks is Josh Allen. We all know what kind of arm Josh Allen has, a cannon. And while he has made some impressive throws in his career, he's also made some questionable decisions, although those have gone down dramatically over the past 2 seasons. Here's the crazy thing though. I've watched him throw the ball very hard, hit his receiver in the hands, and watch as the ball bounced out because the receiver couldn't catch it. It's an impressive throw, but it simply wasn't catchable. So how then does Brock Purdy make up for his lack of arm strength? Well, he uses his brain. It's not something you can accurately measure. You can evaluate the physical talent easily. I mean, that's why we have the combine. But how a quarterback processes the information he is presented with pre-snap and post-snap can't be evaluated until the play actually happens. I mean, there is a reason many former quarterbacks have mentioned how fast Purdy processes a defense, and how he uses that information. Combined with his own knowledge of his own offensive scheme, he can make some truly impressive throws. We can watch film of other quarterbacks and we'll see them throw to a spot where the receiver is, and it's awesome. But with Brock, we're watching him throw to where a receiver is going to be. And while on TV, it looks like he's throwing to an open wide receiver, when we dig deeper, we see that he's throwing a receiver open. Whether people want to admit it or not, Purdy is one of the best anticipatory throwers in the NFL. He puts his trust in the receivers to be in the spot they're supposed to be at, and oftentimes, when you watch film, you'll notice that Purdy is throwing the ball before the receiver is even making their break. It's why his deep passes, to me, look so easy because there are times when the receiver never breaks their stride. The ball simply seems to fall into their hands. Not every time, but most times. So then if I don't mind the fact that he doesn't have the strongest arm, there must be something else. Well, Purdy is never going to be confused with Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen in terms of his ability to run. But that doesn't mean that he can't scramble when he needs to. I mean, if we're being honest, it would be great if he wasn't running for his life every other play, but it's nice to know that he can. And honestly, some of my favorite plays of his have been some of his scrambles. Whether it be those big runs against the Lions, or even some of the smaller runs like the one against Dallas this past season, watching him run for short yardage and even some touchdowns has been great to see since we hadn't really seen that a lot during the 2023 season. Then I can't help but think about the comments about his height. Now me, personally, I'm 6'1", and I'm considered tall. Brock Purdy is also listed at 6'1", and he's considered on the small side. I go back to Josh Allen, who's listed at 6'5", and I think to myself, that man is a monster. And I can see why many people think that Purdy is small for a quarterback. Most people are small compared to Josh Allen. But I mentioned in a previous short that some of the plays that Purdy has pulled off couldn't be done if he was much taller. Think about the play in the NFC Championship where he slipped out of the sack, scrambled to the left, and connected with juice. I'm not sure that could have happened had Brock been taller. Now, I will admit that with Purdy being a little shorter, that he is susceptible to injuries. It's no secret that he's been hurt in each of the 4 seasons that he's been in the league. Although, in 2022 and 2023, he did play through those injuries. He suffered a broken rib during his first start in Week 14, and was thought to have suffered a concussion in Week 7 against the Vikings in 2023. But the interesting thing about that is that when you take all of the games he's missed so far, and as of this recording he's missed 2 in 2025, That would bring the total number of regular season games missed due to injury to 4. 4 games missed in 4 official seasons. Yes, I know he only played 8 games in 2022, but I'm still counting it. Is not bad for a smaller quarterback. Now here's probably the biggest thing going against Brock Purdy. Despite how much it really shouldn't matter, he was the last pick on the draft. And really, if you've read any of the draft reports, everything I mentioned so far contributed to him going undrafted until pick 262. Now granted, after he was drafted, he worked very hard to correct some of the mechanics he had in college, and some of the scouts even pointed out that what he looked like in 2022 when he took over as a starter wasn't how he looked when they were scouting him in the first place. That right there should tell you how much work he's put into perfecting his craft. But here's the thing, I found all of this out after I became a fan. So that begs the question, why did I become a fan given I knew nothing about him? To answer that, it's actually simple. In fact, I even named an episode of Irrelevant after the reason. To me, Brock is the ultimate underdog. When you look at some of the stories that have occurred in the NFL, some of them stand out. Tom Brady being a 6th round draft pick, then going on to becoming the greatest quarterback of all time and soon to be Hall of Famer. To Kurt Warner going from being undrafted and bagging groceries to winning 2 MVPs, going to 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams, one of them being a victory, and winning a Super Bowl MVP, solidifying his place in the Hall of Fame. Whether or not Purdy ever achieves that kind of success, to me it doesn't matter. Although 2 NFC Championship appearances and a Super Bowl appearance in your first 2 seasons is one heck of a resume, given that some quarterbacks have never even been to a Super Bowl and have been in the league much longer. But whatever he ends up being at the end of his career, his story is what makes me a fan. He's mentioned several times that he's been overlooked throughout his career, and I can relate, at least when I was younger. See, I was always the person picked last when it came time to pick teams during PE, but that didn't stop me from trying my hardest to contribute. The first time I hit a baseball over the fence to win the game for my team, it didn't matter how fast I could run around the bases, but I was still picked last every time. I'm a fan because of how he conducts himself. How many times have members of his team talked about his leadership while only being 25 years old? Just listen to how Trent Williams talks about him, and I choose to believe that his team members are being genuine. Heck, forget Trent Williams, just listen to how Fred Warner talks about him. Warner has been talking up Purdy since 2022 training camp. I believe that one day, Purdy will be holding up a Lombardi trophy, because I have a belief that he's more than what his skeptics think he is. It may not be this season, but I believe it will happen one day. Until then, I'll have fun watching him get better and better, because as much as I love his story, that's only part of what makes me a fan. Because if I'm being honest, there's another reason why. It's fun watching him play the position. I like watching Josh Allen chuck the ball down the field, not knowing if it's going to be caught or not, but watching him take off on a run and trucking defenders on his way to the end zone is even better. But I know I'm not going to get that with Purdy. Instead, I get to watch a quarterback go through his reads at a rapid pace, make his choice, throw the ball, and knowing that more often than not, a receiver is going to be exactly where he's thrown the ball and is going to make a play. And those deep shots, they're so nice to watch because he's doing something that people still believe he can't do. You can't sit there and tell me that some of those arcs aren't spectacular. And what's even better, when the cameras catch the throw from a different angle, you can see the spiral he puts in the football. It's a thing of beauty. To me, as someone who's still learning the game and what makes it amazing, he makes it fun for me to watch. And that is why I'm a fan of Brock Purdy.